Hi guys, Gary here. So last video we started out with implementing handlebars on the server side. So in this video I want to go ahead and start where we left off on the last video. So we implemented handlebars on the server side. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to implement handlebars on the client side. And we're going to implement the functionality to allow phpSteroid to send the data and the template file within the same page request. So here's what we have. In the last video we modified the autoload class, or the autoload function. We should not have to do that on this video, so we'll go ahead and close that out. But if we go ahead and open up our core classes load function, or load class, may I say, we need to implement a new function, and we need to say static browser handlebar. And inside of our configuration, we need our index.php, we need to introduce a new variable, and we'll say handlebars browser handled. And by default, I'm going to leave that to true. And what we need to do here is I'm going to say browser handled equals null. And I'm going to say if is null browser handled, then we need to set browser handled equal to whatever our configuration variable is equal to. So that should be a boolean, and we will equal that variable. And then we say if and else, and I'm just going to put that there. Actually, that needs to be in our else statement, and this needs to be here, and that's going to be a function. And then we need to say load browser handlebar, and this is going to be view file and view bars. And what we need to do as well is we'll leave that the way it is. So we can actually let's go ahead and do this as well. Native view equals null, and we need to say if is null native view, and we need to say native view equals that, or actually we need to say handlebar view. That way it's less confusing. And we will replace this variable within this if statement. So now we can dynamically call that, and everything's going to be happy. So now what we need to do is within this function, we need to basically allow the browser to get the variables and the view file and dynamically replace the entire page content. So what this is going to do, what this is going to look like, is we're going to say if file exists, and we're just going to give it a file name, and we need to grab this information here, and we need to say else And of course we're going to die here. And what I need to do is, if I go to Google and I look up handlebars, this is basically what we need. And I'm going to go to the installation, and there should be a CDN here. And that's exactly what we need. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to basically echo a bit of HTML out to the browser. And it's going to be HTML5, so doc type HTML, and this is going to say HTML, and it's going to say head, title, loading, and then inside of our body, we need to put an h1 tag, and it also needs to say loading. So now what we need to do is copy our handlebars link, and I'm going to create a script tag, and the source is going to be equal to the CDN handlebars project. So now what we also need to do is I'm going to pull in jQuery as well. And I'm just going to pull it from the jQuery CDN, which is going to be the CDN.js as well. And this is just going to be jQuery.min.js. And really and truly, I don't care what version it is. Actually, let's go to version 1.9.1, and it's going to be jQuery.min.js. I'm going to also drop this code in here. So script, and of course it's going to say source equals, and there's our source. So now, if we jump down here a little bit, and we say script, and what we need to do is basically, I'm just going to read the documentation here. So it's going to be script ID, so we're going to give it an ID number, or an ID name, and I'm going to say page template is going to be our ID. And then the next thing it needs to have is this type string, so this text x handlebars template, and that's what it's going to look like there. So now inside of here, I'm going to exit out there, and I'm going to say file get content, and it's going to be our file name. And then finally, I'm going to open up another script tag, and inside of this, I'm going to open up a jQuery, and I'm going to say document.ready function. And inside of this ready function, I am going to create something different. So let's see here. I'm going to say source equals, I should say bar source equals HTML and we're going to target this ID number page template, and then I'm going to say var template equals handlebars compile, and I'm going to pass down our source, and then I'm going to say var context is equal to, and then in here I'm just going to basically do a JSON encode, and that's going to be our view bars, and then I'm going to say HTML document.html is equal to template, and then I'm going to pass down our context. So really and truly, this function should be pretty much finished. So now if I go over to our page, so if I do phpSteroid.com /main/handlebar, we hit view page source, it's going to pass down our HTML template. So here's our actual template here, and inside of this document.ready function, we should have all of our variables within a JSON format, which is great. We do. So for some reason, the page itself is failing to load. So it's failing to do whatever it needs to do. So I'm going to figure this out. So let's see here. That didn't work. Okay. Let's see if jQuery gives me the HTML of the document, which it does not. So let's run a quick Google search. I figured that would work, but it did not. So jQuery replace HTML of entire page. And let's see here, HTML.parent HTML. Once you pass in the replacement parameter of the document open, call adds page history. So users would have to click back twice to go to the previous page. So let's try this real quick. Let's target HTML instead. And that works wonderfully, actually. So if we go to here, notice jQuery is automatically saying let's get rid of our doc-type HTML because we don't see it inside of our source tree, and we're not getting any kind of console errors. And if we view our source, here's our template, which is pretty awesome. And we have our handlebars template. So we see our loading page, and we can hit the back and forward button in the browser, and that works just fine. Actually, I just saw something here. Let's look at that. Custom event equals window.custom event. Well, that's weird. We may have to come back in the next video and figure this out. But for now, as you can see, this works terrifically. And if we view our page source, this is what our source looks like, but our source actually looks like our page looks completely different. So this is how we load handlebars on the client side, which is really cool. So the framework is actually taking the template, sending the template back to the client, and then it's also sending the variables that we need, our context string, back to the client as well, and then it's also sending some random code, not really random, but the code that the browser needs to render that template out correctly. So that is how Handlebars works on the client side. So if you want, you can play around with this. I'm going to upload this to the GitHub page. You can download that from there. Leave any comments if you want to see something that I have not covered quite yet in the video tutorial series, and I would love to get some feedback from you guys. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you don't like this video, you know what to do. Anyway, guys, have a great night, and I will see you next time.